I received a lot of comments saying that it would be great if two of the world's most high-profile CEOs, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, collaborated on developing spacecraft and exploring space. But we all know that's never going to happen. They have been engaged in a simmering rivalry over the past 15 years. Last month, Jeff Bezos had his first spaceflight, before which Musk commented, haha, on a mocking meme about it. In the past, Musk has also called Bezos a copycat. Last week, SpaceX, Musk's company, stacked Starship 20 atop a massive booster 4 for the first time, making it the world's tallest rocket. Another jab was SpaceX's award of NASA's Lunar Lander Vehicle project, which Blue Origin had been contesting for some time, even resorting to appeals in which the Bezos-helmed aerospace company ultimately lost. So, in this video, let's find out how madly Bezos reacted to this sad news. Yeah, Jeff Bezos did not let us down. He does not accept failure. His space company remains on the offensive in criticizing NASA's decision to award Elon Musk's SpaceX with the sole contract to build a vehicle to land astronauts on the moon. In an infographic published on Blue Origin's website and seen on Wednesday, the company called SpaceX using Starship to transport NASA astronauts to the lunar surface an immensely complex and high-risk approach. Blue Origin is referring to a criticism that NASA officials made in evaluating Starship for the Lunar Lander program. There are an unprecedented number of technologies, developments, and operations that have never been done before for Starship to land on the moon, Blue Origin wrote. In 3 one-page documents, Blue Origin decried NASA's decision as wrong for America's leadership in space and repeated its prior critique that the space agency ran an inconsistent and unfair competition, even though the congressional watchdog ruled that NASA did not. NASA ran a flawed acquisition and ignored the significant risks of a one-provider model, Blue Origin wrote. The company wants NASA to award a second contract under the original Human Landing System acquisition structure, while NASA has said it would offer future contracts under HLS through Lunar Exploration Transportation Services awards. Those contracts are expected to be $45 million or less each. How exactly did they criticize Starship? Blue Origin's infographic focused on the comparison between its crewed lunar lander concept, which looks and operates more akin to previous US landers, and SpaceX's approach to using a moon-specific version of its Starship rocket. The infographic then promotes Blue Origin's perceived advantages, notably that it can fly on a variety of launch vehicles and would require only 3 launches to assemble and fly to the moon. Further, the infographic reads, the system is entirely built on heritage systems and proven technologies that are flying today. Beyond criticizing Starship's complexity, Blue Origin emphasized that SpaceX's facility in Texas has never conducted an orbital launch, yet Musk's company has launched more than 100 successful orbital launches with its Falcon 9 rockets, and Bezos' company has yet to reach orbit at all. SpaceX is also in the midst of final preparations for Starship's first orbital launch attempt, having completed a high-altitude launch and landing of a Starship prototype in May. Blue Origin made additional technical comparisons, noting that SpaceX's plan requires more than 10 Starship launches to land once on the moon and needs to be refueled in orbit, a process that has also never been done before. Lastly, Blue Origin compared the height of the astronaut exit hatches. Starship's exit is 126 feet off the ground, and conceptually uses an elevator to bring astronauts to the surface, while the Blue Origin lander is 32 feet off the ground and requires the crew to drop down a long ladder. One comparison that Blue Origin did not make was in regard to cost. NASA cited cost as a major factor in its decision to only select one winner under the Human Landing System, due to Congress granting the agency a fraction of its requested budget for the program. SpaceX bid $2.9 billion, while Blue Origin was roughly double at $5.99 billion. In the first round of Human Landing System contracts, NASA handed out nearly $1 billion in concept development awards, with SpaceX receiving $135 million, Dynetics getting $253 million, and Blue Origin receiving $579 million. Is it possible for Blue Origin to save the situation in this way? This is not the first time Blue Origin is playing this dirty game. The company tweeted a similar infographic on July 9th, favorably comparing its New Shepard vehicle to the Spaceship Two of Virgin Galactic, owned by Richard Branson, and noting that Virgin's vehicle does not fly above the Kármán line, the internationally recognized boundary of outer space. But whatever the technical merit of Blue Origin's arguments in their new attack on SpaceX, it may be for nothing but spite, given that the Government Accountability Office rejected Blue Origin's appeal. SpaceX and Elon Musk now have the go-ahead to keep working on the lunar Starship for NASA's Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon. There is no chance of SpaceX not proceeding with HLS for Artemis 3. Laura Seward-Forczyk, founder of space consulting firm Astralytical, wrote in a tweet on Thursday, "NASA says it won. The GAO says it won. Attacking SpaceX only spreads negativity." There's not necessarily anything factually wrong with Blue Origin's arguments, Forczyk said, but it was quite the argument to make when Blue Origin has not yet launched anything to orbit. SpaceX, meanwhile, has flown cargo and astronauts to the International Space Station, has safely launched and recovered Starship from an altitude of 33,000 feet, and plans to make its first launch of Starship on the Super Heavy booster by the end of the year. SpaceX's plans are indeed risky, Forczyk says, but so are Blue Origin's. It is disingenuous to promote a competitor's design as risky when in fact both of them are complex and risky, she says. Spaceflight is fairly risky. In my opinion, Blue Origin knows their abilities and limitations, which is absolutely not enough for a successful Artemis mission, actually. They just shoot their ugly comparison of their moon lander with SpaceX's Starship into the public. Jeff is trying to add his dirty business tricks into the space industry, which will adversely affect all new startups in the space field. Perhaps if he spent more energy on his own efforts instead of trying to hold others to his own lower level, we'd all be better off. After all, SpaceX seems unaffected by these criticisms.
Jeff who?
They're still doing extraordinary things at Starbase, where soon we'll see the biggest rocket in human history go into orbit and later to the moon in the Artemis project. So, what's next for good old Blue Origin? While infographics will not supersede a GAO ruling, Blue Origin is not out of the lunar landing game entirely. The SpaceX contract only runs through the first crewed lunar landing mission, Artemis 3, currently scheduled for October of 2024. Meanwhile, in April, NASA called for proposals for lander vehicles to be used in routine lunar astronaut transportation, presumably for Artemis 4 and beyond. Bezos and Blue Origin might be making their case for the future, and specifically to Congress, according to Forczyk. Blue Origin is pretty much putting this out there to speak to Congress to say, "My competitor's design is riskier than mine," she says. "Therefore, you should have a second competition to have two providers in case my competitor is too risky and fails." First though, they had to make sure they could make a real rocket work, and not on 3D simulations. How do you feel about the way Blue Origin has reacted to the GAO ruling so far? Let us know in the comments below. And if you've got the need for more SpaceX and overall space industry related content, we've got 2 more videos on the screen. Otherwise, thumbs up if you liked today's episode, sub if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you never miss out on future great SpaceX content. Remember, liking the video is another way to assure us that you are with us every step of the way. That being said, thank you so much for your constant support of the channel. From all of us at Great SpaceX, have a good one, and see you next time.